and now it's like, let's show it and get the discussion going. From that, we're seeing that 30 to early 40-year-old trades now wanting to actually have knowledge, wanting to do the right thing, follow the standards. We see our tech department is flooded with that engagement every day of the week around the country. My belief is that the likes of the NBA, HIA, the other bodies, we need to demand a higher bar to set it, because that will force that cultural change with the builder.
Yeah, I agree.
And the designer, because then it's not just about, and that's what happened in New Zealand. They forced the quality and the compliance, or what was expected as a basic piece, to be lifted, and that was designers, that was the manufacturers, that was suppliers. And so over there, you don't have as many products on the market, like you said, because you've got to pay money, and even if you have the money, you've got to comply with brands and independent body doing the audit, doing the appraisal, and then auditing annually. Like, they come here every year and audit our factory, audit our processes, and that keeps our certification up. That's what we don't have here, and it is an issue. And
and I think one of the things, if we were to set the bench level or the bar, raise the bar, part of it comes down to education. Now, I can tell you at Master Builders, we're currently looking at programs for not only contractors, but prime contractors, builders, so to give them an education as to where their real responsibilities lie, because it does seem to be a bit lost. There's this philosophy of, you see it, it's in accordance with the Australian standard. It's nominated here, in accordance with the Australian standard. What is the Australian standard? That's the question. And I think that it's for us, for the MBA, one of the big things that we can do is educate. And in terms of pushing for regulatory responsibilities, we are big on making sure that the right pathways exist, and that includes the paper trail, that includes the appropriate stamp jobs, and the appropriate responsibilities. But I would say that Master Builders, one of our strong assets is our education, and I'd encourage anybody that's a little bit unsure about how the standard should be applied or the installation of products to come and speak with us.
Yeah, look, I think you mentioned that word responsibility. For me, that's the big piece, because when the buck stops with someone, then they've got to ensure that they've got all their ducks lined up in a row that ensure that things are done properly. When it's just like and it is a bit of a wild west. We've had that, and unfortunately the horse has bolted. For us in Australia to do what New Zealand's done is a lot harder, because we've got every state and we've got different conditions. But so is New Zealand in that respect. But we need someone to be held accountable. And at the moment, what happens is the poor bugger that actually just has the last touch on the membrane, the waterproofing. But if the design's all wrong or the construction's not right, they're still wearing it. And we're educating contractors to understand what their client's doing, how they've constructed it. Is there a report? Is there advice to your members that are trades, that what they should be asking of their builders and what they should be getting signed off from the builder before they actually go on site?
Yeah, that's a very good point. One thing that contractors or trade should be very wary about is doing something that varies a little bit from what the Australian standard is. We're on site, we see the problem, we think we can easily resolve that problem. We put in a mechanism or a system, we take it upon our shoulders, and then all of a sudden, if it fails, then it ends up on their shoulders. So I think from a trade perspective, the type of questions or the type of things that you should be looking at is, number one, the approved plans. Okay, what are the standards that have been referred to? Okay, also have a look at the construction details. There should be construction details in the approved plans specific to waterproofing, as an example. So don't be blasé about, here's my job, I'll rock up, I'll do it the same as normal. Ask the questions. Is there an approval? Has this been approved? Is this a renovation that I've just taken up? I'm doing a complete refurb of my wet area. That actually needs an approval. Have we actually got an approval? So that's one of the questions that you could ask. Have a look at what the documents are saying, and make sure that if you're doing any variation outside of what the norm is, that you actually consult with the right people, that being your building surveyor or the prime contractor or both of them.
So Chris, that's a really good point, but I see a lot of times where the contractor or the applicator gets to nominate the product of choice. So we get a contractor that's there and the builder says, well, quote me, and he goes, well, I use Gripset, and then he looks at the drawings and it just says waterproof membrane, or it doesn't say anything. So what you're telling us is that the applicator should go back to his builder and say, right, this is the product I'm doing the work for you, can you put this now into your drawings?
Yes.
What is it? Drawings, yeah, and
what is it? This is what it is. This is what should be passed.
Just a specification.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Be very wary about taking that responsibility on your own shoulders, because that's where you can fall down. Okay. So the right questions to ask are to the site supervisor. If you get that random statement on the plan saying your choice, good luck, therefore that actually means your responsibility. No, you take it back to the supervisor. You say, what is it? Get them to change the plans, get the certifier to have a look at it and make sure that they're comfortable with it.
Or if the relationship is there with that site supervisor, and he goes, well look, you're going to warrant the work, I don't want you to charge us any more if this is the product you're nominating. And the contractor says, well, that's fine, but then I want you to put it in the documentation. So it's there,
a very
both parties know it.
Legitimate question to ask.
Yeah, and this is really good advice, because these are little things that don't happen, but like I always say, prepare for yourself in the bad rainy day, the black day, when you end up in a court of law, and they're the questions and they're the documents that will come back to be asked. So
absolutely. And I think a lot of trades are probably a bit scared of the paperwork as well.
Yeah.
So their skills are primarily with their hands-on work.
But they're also scared sometimes to ask the question, because then the builder goes, oh, bugger off, you're asking too many questions, you're a smart ass, I'll get someone else, and I'm going to lose a job.
No.
You should be concerned about if there's the attitude of your builder as well.
Absolutely. Ask the question.
Yeah.
You're not doing yourself any favours by just sitting back and just, taking it in and, come on mate, we've always done it this way. No, you have, and that's why I'm talking about responsibility. Take the responsibility on your shoulders. So when I'm actually talking about people taking responsibility, I'm talking about you and everybody.
So if the builder went broke in that circumstance, and then the client has got a legitimate water issue, and so they go, okay, the builder went broke, but ABC Waterproofing did the waterproofing, we're going after him, then he needs to obviously have shown that he had everything correct to back himself up in that circumstance. Is that because those documents would still show?
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. If the builder's not around, ta-ta, see you later. You're the next knock on the door. So whoever you are, paperwork, although it's laborious and can be boring, it's a really important part of the overall process. The thing that you do, which is actually build and construct, that's a really important part. But on the side, the documentation, that also is important.
But look, from a waterproofing perspective, it's easy to get a couple of basic templates, standardise them, issue them to your clients, and if they tweak a little bit, then you change it, but at least you've got something that could be a 5-minute job, even like when you're giving your quote or you're invoicing in an updated piece, hey, I didn't get this, send it through. Look, I always talk about...
And on the iPhone too.
Relationships are so important. We've implemented that with our GAP program, where it's all captured for the guys, so they don't lose it. But, not everyone uses a Gripset product, or sometimes they can't use a Gripset product. There's an application that we don't even have the products for. And they're the ones you're talking about, the variations outside the norm, like you go to an elevated site and all of a sudden you can't access the external wall of the building. You've got to work inside. So then what system am I using then? The builder probably is saying, well, you tell us, and that's the time, okay, well, I'm going to make this recommendation, here's the manufacturer's spec, but I want you to put it into the drawing.
Spot on.